All right, Mr. Stolberg here, and we are going to go over Living Organisms Day 4. Woo! So, we've been talking all week about living organisms. Now we're talking about how energy flows through a food chain. So, first thing we need to talk about is that there are different ways organisms get energy to live. Depends what you are, if you are a producer, consumer, or decomposer. So we're going to talk about all three of those. And when we talk about consumers, we're going to talk about three types of consumers: herbivore, carnivore, and omnivore. Remember those three words because I'm going to quiz you on them. You're going to need to know what they mean. All right, so let's talk about producers. Producers are usually plants, but you'll need to know this. Some protists can also be producers. Algae is a good example of that. If you've ever heard of algae, it's that stuff. If you have a fish tank, that green stuff that grows on the side, it's a producer. It uses the sun's energy to produce energy and to grow. So plants use the sun to create food. The process is called photosynthesis. They actually take in water and carbon dioxide from the air, plus they get some nutrients from water or from the soil, and they use that to produce their own food, which we call glucose or sugar. And then they also produce oxygen, which of course we need the oxygen. So we give them carbon dioxide because we breathe that out, and then we breathe in the oxygen that they produce. So we kind of help each other out. So the plant receives the sunlight and the CO2 and water, and then they produce sugar and oxygen. So let's talk about consumers. All right, there are three types of consumers that you need to know. This one's a carnivore, don't pay attention to that. The first one here is herbivores. These are animals that eat mostly plants. And I want you to pay attention to this word right there, herb. It means plants. When you hear KFC commercials and they're talking about their 11 herbs and spices, they get those spices from plants. Herb means plants. If you remember that, you will remember that herbivores eat plants. And when I talk about plants, I mean leaves, grass, flowers, seeds, roots, fruit, bark, pollen. All those parts of the plant still count as a plant. If you've got an animal that eats nothing but mangoes, they're still an herbivore because that comes from a plant, and that's all they eat. Some other herbivores you might be familiar with: deer, horses, rabbits, cows, sheep. Those are animals you would think of as herbivores, but bees, grasshoppers are herbivores too, because bugs and insects count as animals. They are classified in the animal kingdom. They're just not vertebrates, which we're used to vertebrates. So those invertebrates can be herbivores too if all they eat is plants. Bees, they go around and collect nectar from plants. And I'm not sure if there's any man-eating bees out there, but if they were, they would not be herbivores. Luckily, I haven't run into those yet. All right, so let's talk about the next type of consumer. It's omnivores. These guys eat everything, plants and animals. Pay attention to this word on the front. Once again, omni means all. If you are omnipotent, it means you are all powerful. So omnivores eat it all. I like to call them omnomnomivores. Nom 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 nom. Think of a little Pac-Man going around. He's eating ghosts. He's eating the little dots. He's eating the big dots. He's eating the little fruits that go all over the place. He eats it all. So omnomnomivores or omnivores eat everything. Humans are a good example of that. Even if your friend tells you they're a vegetarian, they're still an omnivore because they can eat both. They just choose not to. We have the ability to process both plants and animals. Some animals don't. Most bears are omnivores, raccoons, primates, and some birds because they eat insects and seeds, plants and animals. All right, the last one of the three consumers is carnivores. Again, if you look at that beginning word there, carne means meat. If you go to Taco Bell and you order the carne asada nachos, it's allegedly meat, usually steak, that's going to be in those nachos, or at least they claim it is. So carne means meat. Carnivores eat mainly meat. They're carnivorous. And insects count as meat. So something that eats only insects is still a carnivore. So a frog and a spider, they eat insects. They are considered carnivores. Even though you don't picture a frog with big teeth and things like that, it still fits in the carnivore category. Most cats are carnivores, like these ones that were just circling around me a second ago. So the big cats and the little ones. We don't feed our little cats at home broccoli. We feed them things based from meat usually. All right. So when you are going through the slides on your own, you're going to watch a video here for decomposers. But decomposers are things that break down dead plants and animals and absorb the nutrients from them. Without decomposers, we'd have dead plants, animals all over the place just laying around. So it helps break those down. It helps out the environment here. We talked about bacteria earlier in the year when we were doing our Project Lead the Way infection stuff. Some bacteria can be good, we said. So these bacteria are good. They help break things down. However, if you've left some meat sin out and bacteria have gotten a hold of it, I wouldn't recommend eating that. It would probably not be good for you. And fungi, things like mushrooms and mold, also help break stuff down. So those are decomposers. They'll come at the end of your food chain to kind of clean up the mess afterwards and get things back into the soil so that plants can use those nutrients and grow again and start it all over again. So you're going to practice. If you can play the game, play it. If it doesn't work, because Flash is pretty touchy on a lot of computers, don't worry about it, because down here you're going to do essentially the same thing. You're going to label all of these things as producers, consumers, or decomposers. When you get down here to algae, I hope you were paying attention, because I told you in the video which one that was. So mushrooms, I did the same thing. So pay attention. Hopefully you'll figure it out if they are a producer, a consumer, or a decomposer. Once you are done with that, then please submit it. I hope you enjoyed this video. Peace out. Woo!